interestingly, the thing that I said to the group was, if you could take away two things, one of them is to go into everything thinking, am I really clear on what the objective is? Do I really understand what is our objective for whatever we're doing here? And as the leader, have I been really clear with everyone else? So, and did I check in? Does everybody understand what our objective is? It's a single sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure everybody has clarification around that. And then the second thing is checking in and saying, am I really clear about what my role is within this? My role in achieving the objective, my role with the group. What is my role in this? And so when we talk about like leadership agility, and I'm really focused on moving through these levels, going from being an expert to the achiever, which is where I normally am, which is like, it's all about the objective and it's all about inspiring other people to get part of it, to where I really want to be, which is this catalyst, which the big difference in that is that I'm facilitating the conversation for other people so that they are identifying with it and they're growing in meeting the objective.
Mm-hmm.
But those were the things that were really important to me. And I thought, gosh, if you just walk away with two things, it's, do you understand the objective? Have you defined it? Is everybody clear about it? And then are you really clear about what your role is within that? So for me, my intention is I want my role to be the facilitator for the discussion, for the solution, for the growth of other people. That's what I really want my role to be. And it was cool. I mean, there was a cool thing for people just to kind of engage in with that. Just practice that. So that's pretty much what you did this week, is you just got really comfortable and checked in with the objective. And then you just kind of checked in with what your role was. You know, high five.
I had a meeting with my manager yesterday, with my boss. And he wanted to check in, like, how are you doing? I'm coming up to 3 months on Sunday.
That went so fast.
This is freaking insane. So he was like that. Like, are you finding what you came to look for, our company? I'm like, this is great. It was a great question. It was a great question. And I said, I appreciate this so much. I love working with you. He's really open and it's easy to talk to and really clear. And he likes that transparency, whenever we have to communicate with the team, making sure we're giving them the information they need. And I said, I did. And I kind of said something along the lines of, I'm glad I was very clear during our interview process of, what I wanted. Like I said, I want to work for an organization where I can have a seat at the table, but really be part of that conversation and create an impact. So yeah, that was really cool to check in with him yesterday. And it goes back to that, like, don't be afraid. Sometimes, again, you are desperate. You're trying to find a job. You want the client. And sometimes you forget about what are the things that are really important to you. So then you're not resenting yourself. You're not resenting them because you weren't clear about what is that you want to get out of this experience.
What I was thinking about just now when you were saying that is, you and I are both very empowered people. Even when things aren't going exactly the way we want them to go, we both are very empowered people. And so my big definition in my head is the difference between like me and there's just two camps. One camp is this is what happened to me today. The other camp is this is what I made happen. So I think you and I are make it happen kind of people. Even when things are happening, we still feel a sense of control of, I'm gonna, even if something comes at us, COVID, whatever, we think to ourselves, okay, so in this, I'm going to do this. An external factor, you and I take that as an ingredient and figure out what we can make into it. So I think that's important because I do think it's a distinguishing part of our personalities. And I'm wondering if that is not only the distinguishing part of our personalities, but if that's what's really distinguishing in people who achieve, is that we decided what we wanted out of our job. So I've never been stuck in a job. Never. I'm not going to say that I've had every single solitary day that was awesome, because that would be a lie. But I had most days that were pretty awesome. And I would have an occasional, and I think, you and I've talked about this, where I said, I don't really have a bad day. I have a bad minute. I had maybe an undesirable conversation. I had an interaction that didn't go the way I would really like it, or that caught me from the side.
Yeah.
But I don't usually let that become a bad day. And I certainly don't manifest it into a bad day. And I don't like to string it in, so if you and I had a less desirable conversation, I don't want to then string that into a conversation that I have with one of my children or something like that. So I just keep wondering, how do we, because I think we coach to this, right? I think that this is probably the biggest challenge in coaching is not nudging our client into that mindset, but seeing if our client has that mindset someplace and can peel back the external factors to get into the internal power.
I think it goes back to motive into purpose. Because it's like the two things, like if I look at the two situations I just described, I work in my Facebook Live yesterday. In both cases, I was very clear about what my purpose with doing that was. I was very clear what my values are, what I want to project, how, kind of like being very clear about what is it that you want. And I think that's the difficult part. And I mentioned that yesterday, and talking about, finding your purpose. It sounds like very like, ooh, finding my purpose, but it's really just knowing what the hell do you want, right? The whole thing about like, I've been trying to accomplish this thing. It's been in my to-do list for 10 years. And you go like, who put that in there? Like, whose expectation is that? Who's the, is it a, society expect me to do this, or my family wanted me to be this, or my husband expect me to accomplish this, or my wife, right? It's like, what is it that you really want? What, and then, and it sounds crazy, but I think for me, finding that it's been the result of doing the homework, right? Reading the books, listening to the podcast, having this powerful conversation, surrounding myself with people that ask the right questions and have clarity around what they want to do, and being inspired by other humans like yourselves and the coaches that we look for. I think that's how you get to that point. It's not like, one day you woke up like, this is my purpose. You kind of like work it through your life, like work it through. I don't know how to explain this, but it's, yeah.
I'm with you. And as I'm thinking about this, I keep thinking about when I have a powerful conversation, the thing that makes it powerful for me is when I read something and I schedule time in my life for conversations with no control over what's going to come of it. When I read things, which I also schedule time for, but when I do all of those things, what I'm also finding is that my brain is engaging in a different thought pattern, because I'm inviting in different thoughts, even thoughts that would conflict with my prior feelings or thoughts. So this to me is real elasticity in my growth, right? When I listen to something that isn't affirming what I already think, but something that pushes beyond what I think. So when all those things happen, what I really end up finding the growth for me is then I kind of have to check in with my thoughts. And that's probably another buzzword, but that's where the purpose comes up, because I have to check in with myself and say, so Ricky, why are you having a reaction to this? Why are you thinking, no, 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 no? And sometimes I read it and I think, no, I wouldn't do it this way. Why wouldn't I do it this way?
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe XYZ. Where did that belief come from?
Mm-hmm.
And how does it play out? And is it serving you? And is it getting you to where, what part of that belief is rooted in where you've been, and what part of that belief can take you to where you want to go? But all of those things, such buzzwords of, all of those things are really about me checking in with me.
Doing the work.
Yes. So that's the growth. And that's the thing. If I could say to somebody, what's the number one factor besides the fact that I believe that I can make the changes? My second thing is just checking in with myself and having those internal conversations. And I think that in coaching, that's probably one of the intangibles that become a tangible that we help our clients develop, is that habit of checking in and saying, okay, hold on for a second. Even if it happens in a millisecond, or it doesn't happen in a millisecond, at the end of the day, you have to go back and be reflective. I think that's the game changers. That's where the purpose comes up.
I had two last sessions this week. And
Aww.
it was great. It was great.
They're a little bit sad though, aren't they?
Yeah. It's so funny. One was in English, one was in Spanish. But I heard basically the same thing from both clients. And I'm asking, like, kind of going through the learnings and, what was the moment that you had like that, this is really conflicting with my beliefs, and what was harder. Like, we went through all that, like those questions. It was really cool. Both of them say, you were great at giving me the tools I needed right at the time that I needed them. And I said, well, let me give you a trick. The only reason why I was able to give you the tools that you needed right there and there is because you were very clear about what was happening, right? And now you can take that with you. That's the tool you're taking with you. The more clear you are about what you want, the easier it's going to be for you to get it in any space. And they were like, oh my God, but that's one of those things that you're saying, and you were like hearing it yourself. I'm like, what did I just say? Right? It was like so huge. And I think that's what I said, like, for the life, for the work, like when you're really clear about what you want, and sometimes scary to get there, sometimes scary really recognizing, I'm going to say no to this job because it doesn't align with what I want. I'm going to say no to this person because it doesn't align with what I want and who I am, right? Because I might need the money, or I don't want to be alone, or whatever it might be, right? But when you really get out of that fear and really trust that you live in an abundant universe, and more job opportunities are going to come, more friends or potential partners are going to come, as long as you are clear with what you want and checking with yourself and are in complete alignment with your values and with what's important to you, those things are going to be just the same way you felt I had the right tool for you at the right moment. And I think that was such a powerful closing, because now they go into the world knowing as long as they are clear and checking in, they'll be fine.
Yes. Good coaching. So I'll share this